Gas stoves. That's where we are with it. Gas stoves are currently a politicized issue. Um, I'm not gonna tell you guys what my personal thoughts and belief on gas stoves are. I'm just gonna run through a few things, and you can believe whatever it is that you want to believe, as you obviously will. And I will do the same for myself. Gas stoves. How long have gas stoves been around for? These are not questions that I'm going to be providing the answer to you for. These are questions that I'm going to expect you, if you don't know the answer to go do the research for yourself. So the first question is, how long have we used gas stoves in America? And then you can see globally. What are the statistics of health impacts of gas stoves over the many decades that we've been using them? What is different now about gas stoves? Something that has been used, at least I can firsthand verify that they have at least been used since my birth, seeing as how the very first stove in the very first home that I lived in was gas. I'm trying to think here. I'm trying to think if I'm covering all the bases of all the questions that you can ask before even going into any type of debate with somebody else or any type of conversation. Forget about a debate. Any type of conversation with somebody where they're actually realistically bringing up health concerns caused by gas stoves. I mean, we just really have to. Let's get to the chase here. Somewhere along the lines of communication and conversation in America, we have foregone. I don't even want to say common sense because that's very cliche. But we have foregone the inability to think for ourselves without validation. Maybe it's social media. Maybe, I mean, I understand networking, and the internet and everything like that. But we live at an all-time high when it comes to requirement for validation. People at every turn will literally not believe their own eyes if somebody can tell them, oh no, you simply misunderstood, you're wrong. You're simply wrong about something that you actually visually saw, something that you actually experienced and felt. We live in a time where people are so pressurized to fit in or something that they are willing to lie about their own beliefs and hide the truth just to fit in. When this is just teenagers in high school doing things based off of peer pressure, that obviously has its own issues. But we're talking about fully grown adults at this point, bickering back and forth about gas stoves, something that has been used for decades without any kind of thought, without any thought. All of a sudden, it is thrust into the political media based off of an immediate calling for their removal. That's cool. Here's the truth from what I believe. Natural gas is a resource that we use for many things, from heating our homes to cooking our food. We are in a time when we're approaching a shortage of most fossil fuels due to impacts from politics, essentially. Obviously, natural gas is not a fuel source for vehicles or anything like that. So I'm not going to say, oh, we're, restricting the usage of that in the household so that we can make gasoline. But I believe that they're calling for this reduction in the use of natural gas because of the shortage of natural gas that we are going to be experiencing here based off of the limited production naturally. The Nord 2 stream was a line of natural gas, if I'm correct. And it supplied a lot of Europe, but it did not supply a lot to America, from what I understand, directly from that pipeline is what I'm saying. Even though Russia does produce a lot of a lot of fossil fuel products for us. So I think that that has some type of connection. But even more so than the practical reason as to why they are urging for the reduction of the usage of gas stoves, I can't help but, criticize the political nature of everything. Every discussion that we have is like, well, I'm gonna wait to talk about what I believe until I know not what professionals are saying, but what politicians are saying. If there was an overwhelming majority of doctors screaming for decades saying, I don't know why you guys are using gas stoves, if that was ever even mentioned, if in all of the conversations that we've had about climate change and carbon emissions, if natural gas was ever, not natural gas, but if gas stoves were ever brought up in any of those conversations, this would have more credibility right now. But ask yourself, was it? Was it ever mentioned before? Now, all of a sudden? Probably. I won't say no. And I know I'm not supposed to answer these questions for you, but I'll throw you a freebie. They probably were saying that there were health implications of gas stoves. I'm sure there were doctors who were studying that, because I'm sure that the emissions from a gas stove are less healthy than an electric stove. I'm not talking about fuel efficiency. I'm not talking about for carbon emissions globally. I'm talking about for the emissions of the actual gas, the burning, the byproduct of the burning of the very clean fuel source. Don't get me wrong. Compared to coal, it's clean. Compared to electricity, it's dirty, right? That's inarguable. It's gas. It's butane. The reason that, not getting into that. The reason that they tell you to light your cigarette before you actually inhale, right, is because of the potential damage that butane can cause to your lungs. That's because natural gas is not great for you to inhale, surprising. Most things besides air are not that great for you to inhale. So I'm not going to sit here and, put on that hat where they're like, oh, you're against science, because I'm not going to sit here and be like, gas is healthy for you. It's healthy. But I think that it is fairly benign, to say the least. I gave you guys my opinion. I wasn't supposed to. Whoops. Abort transmission.